Good day, students. From the past few weeks, we have been learning prose, poems, and grammar. For a change, today we'll see a great speech by the receiver of Nobel Peace Prize, Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, Set Our Children Free. Okay. This speech was given by Kailash Satyarthi after he receives Nobel Prize. He shares the Nobel Peace Prize with Malala Yousafzai. Now, let's see this video. According to data from Census 2011, the number of child laborers in India is 10.1 million, of which 5.6 million are boys and 4.5 million are girls. A total of 152 million children, 64 million girls, and 88 million boys are estimated to be in child labor globally, accounting for almost 1 in 10 of all children worldwide. Despite rates of child labor declining over the last few years, children are still being used in some of severe forms of child labor, such as bonded labor, child soldiers, and trafficking. Child labor and exploitation are the result of many factors, including poverty, social norms, condoning them, lack of decent work opportunities for adults and adolescents, migration, and emergencies. These factors are not only the cause but also a consequence of social inequities reinforced by discrimination. Children belong in schools, not workplaces. Child labor deprives children of their right to go to school and reinforces intergenerational cycles of poverty. Child labor acts as a major barrier to education, affecting both attendance and performance in schools. Teachers and others in the education system can be frontline supporters to protect children and can alert other stakeholders such as social workers to situations where children display signs of distress or indicate they work long hours. Getting children out of work and into school also requires broader changes in public policy to empower families to choose education over exploitation labor. UNICEF works with government and for-profit agencies to put in place the necessary policy framework to end child labor. Listening to children is vital to achieving success in the fight against child labor. Yes, so now I hope everyone might have got an idea of what the speech is about. Yes, it is about children who have been neglected and abused and not given their thoughts. Kailash Satyarthi here motivates all the people of the world to rise up for their future. First, we'll see about Kailash Satyarthi. He is the winner of Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. He is an Indian child rights activist. He is the founder of Bachpan Bachao Andolan, and he has campaigned against child labor and advocated universal right to education. Now let's read the speech. Your Majesties, your Royal Majesties, your Royal Highnesses, my dear daughter Malala, dear brother Tom Harkin, and my sisters and brothers. Here, Tom Harkin is the Senator of Iowa, US, and he has nominated Satyarthi numerous times over the years, and this year Satyarthi was jointly awarded the $1.1 million prize with Malala Yousafzai, who is a 17-year-old Pakistani girl, and she got shot by the Taliban in the head in 2012. Friends, The Nobel Committee has generously invited me to present a lecture. Respectfully, I am unable to do that because I am representing here the sound of silence. Here, the sound of silence is the voice of those suffering children who cannot open their voice to raise against the world. The cry of innocence and the face of invisibility. I represent millions of those children who are left behind, and that's why I have kept an empty chair here as a reminder. I have come here to share the voices and dreams of our children, because they are all our children. He says the cry of innocence, meaning the cry of those who need help and attention but do not get it. Then the face of invisibility, which means the face of neglected people, those who have been treated unfair, abused, and neglected by the world. Then he says two incidents from his experience. The first one is 20 years ago, in the foothills of the Himalayas, I met a small, skinny child laborer. He asked me, "Is the world so poor that it cannot give me a toy and a book instead of forcing me to take a gun or a tool?" And the next is 12 years ago, a child mother from the streets of Colombia asked me this: "I have never had a dream. Can my child have one?" So these are the two incidents he narrated from his experience. Friends, all the great religions teach us to care for our children. Jesus said, "Let the children come to me, do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to them." And the Holy Quran says, "Kill not your children because of poverty." Friends, there is no greater violence than to deny the dreams of our children. He says that after quoting these two quotes, then he says that he refused to accept all these things. I refuse to accept that all the temples and mosques and churches and prayer houses have no place for the dreams of our children. I refuse to accept that the world is so poor when just 1 week of global military expenditure can bring all the children to classrooms. Here, the global military expenditure is the money spent on maintaining the armed forces. Okay? I refuse to accept that all the laws and constitutions, police, and judges are unable to protect our children. I refuse to accept that the shackles of slavery can ever be stronger than the quest for freedom. Here, the shackles of slavery means the chain of slavery. Like if the parents were slaves and died at the stage of being a slave to one person, then their children were also forced to be slaves to that person. This is the chain of slavery and quest for freedom. Quest here means searching for something. Here they are searching for freedom. Okay. I refuse to accept. He refused to accept all these things. Then he says, "My only aim in life is that every child is free to be a child, free to grow and to develop, free to eat, sleep, and see daylight, free to laugh and cry, free to play and learn, and free to go to school, and above all, free to dream." He says, "I have the privilege of working with many courageous people who have the same aim. We have never given up against any threat and attack, and we never will. We have made progress in the last couple of decades, but let us make no mistake, great challenges still remain." He says he has a great challenge to face. Friends, The biggest challenge or the biggest crisis knocking on the doors of humankind is fear and intolerance. He says that the biggest crisis is fear and intolerance. Fear and intolerance makes humans stand back in all such issues and they fail to support and struggle for the rest of the mankind. Young people like Malala, I've started calling her my daughter Malala, not just Malala. So my daughter Malala and other daughters including Kayanat, in fact two Kayanats and Shazia and the daughters from Africa and from all over the world, they are rising up and choosing peace over violence, tolerance over extremism, and courage over fear. Extremism means the ideas that are not normal, ideas that are not reasonable and acceptable to most of the people. The solutions are emerging, but these solutions cannot be found in the deliberations in conferences alone and cannot be found in prescriptions from a distance. He says that the solutions are emerging, but those solutions cannot be found in decisions made in meetings. Deliberations in conferences means decisions made in meetings, and it can also be not found in prescriptions, meaning recommendations that are given by the authorities. He makes clear that the solution for these problems is impossible in the meetings of higher authorities or in their recommendations. We'll stop here and have a recap of what we learned so far today. This is a speech given by Kailash Satyarthi, receiver of Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. He's an Indian child rights activist and untiring crusader who struggles for children's development and upliftment of their future. He addresses the gathering and shares his experience in rescuing abused children, child laborers, and others. He says he refused to accept all the temples, mosques, and churches for they don't give place for the dreams of the children. All the laws and constitutions, police, and the judges have failed to care for the children, and the chain of slavery is getting stronger than the search or step towards freedom. He says that every child is free to be a child, to eat, to sleep and see daylight, to laugh and cry, to play, learn, go to school, and also to dream. He says that solution for these problems cannot be found in official papers or recommendations or decisions made in meetings. It should be made as a result of humanity. That's what he's trying to convey here. So that's it for today's class. Hope you all have understood one part of his speech. Try to gather some information about Kailash Satyarthi and Malala Yousafzai and read about them in internet. Okay? Thank you, students.